Welcome to Withdraw Consent. I'm Jack. Today we're joined back again with Gerron after a long time. Good to see you.
Good to be back on the show.
And he's going to be talking to us about the origin of the Star of David. So take it away.
All right, so this is going to be about the origin of the Star of David, which is on the Israeli flag as their main symbol, and also its biblical significance and where it comes, like the role of it as far as Christianity goes. So it's an ancient symbol, and it was mentioned specifically in the book of Acts 7:43, but not as the Star of David, as the Star of Remphan. It only recently was considered to be the Star of David. So Stephen, if you're a Christian, you're probably familiar. He was one of 7 of the first deacons. They were early teachers and helpers in the church. And Stephen got arrested in Acts chapter 7 by the Pharisees. And in chapter 7 of Acts, he was giving basically a defense before the Sanhedrin, who was the basically ruling council of the Pharisees in ancient Judea. So I'm going to read Acts 7, a few verses around there. That way we can see this verse in context. Reference 1, please. So we'll start with verse 35. This Moses they refused, saying, "Who made thee a ruler and a judge? The same did God send to be a ruler and a deliverer by the hand of the angel which appeared to him in the bush. He brought them out after that he had showed wonders and signs in the land of Egypt and in the Red Sea and in the wilderness 40 years. This is that Moses which said unto the children of Israel, A prophet shall the Lord your God raise up unto your brethren, like unto me, him shall ye hear. This is he that was in the church in the wilderness with the angel which spake to him in the Mount Sinai, and with our fathers who received the lively oracles to give unto us, to whom our fathers would not obey, but thrust him from them, and in their hearts turned back again into Egypt, saying unto Aaron, Make us gods to go before us. For as for this Moses, which brought us out of the land of Egypt, we wot not what has become of him. And they made a calf in those days, and offered sacrifice unto the idol, and rejoiced in the works of their own hands. Then God turned and gave them up to worship the host of heaven, as it is written in the book of the prophets. O ye house of Israel, have ye offered to me slain beasts and sacrifices by the space of 40 years in the wilderness? Yea, ye took up the tabernacle of Moloch and the star of your god Remphan. See right there. Figures which ye made to worship them, and I will carry you away beyond Babylon. So essentially, what this is saying, and this starts kind of in the middle of Stephen's defense. He's saying that the Pharisees were essentially the ones who were blessed originally, or not just the Pharisees, the ancient Israelites in general that they come from. But when they were in the desert, they made the golden calf. And if I'm not going to get too much into this, but throughout biblical history, this sort of thing happens over and over again. There's a promise made with certain conditions, but when the Israelites fall away or they start worship, the biggest thing is starting to worship, graven images, or later Baal and Moloch, who were the very gods and deities that they were warned specifically not to follow. So in this, it doesn't explicitly say that the hexagram is obviously the star, the same symbol, the star of Remphan, who's tied to Moloch. However, if we look at or we're going to also look at the book of Amos, because this is a fulfillment, sort of like he's referencing something in the Old Testament. So source 2, please. It says, and Amos was a prophet in the Old Testament, another Israelite, and he was basically prophesying the same thing. He was saying that because you failed to worship and you failed to keep God's commandments, this is basically like a curse of what would happen. So it says, verse 21, I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your offerings, I'll not accept them, neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beasts. Take thou away from the noise, or me from the noise of thy songs, for I'll not hear the melody of thy viols. But let judgment run down as waters, and righteousness as a mighty stream. Have ye offered unto me sacrifices and offerings in the wilderness 40 years, O house of Israel? But ye have borne the tabernacle of your Moloch, and hewn your images, the star of your God, which ye made to them yourselves. Therefore I will cause you to go into captivity beyond Damascus, saith the Lord, whose name is God of hosts. So it doesn't specifically say Remphan or Remphan, but Moloch and hewn, and specifically the star. There's a reason it says star and not just, like the image, and hewn is in Remphan. They're basically like the god Saturn. Like they have different translations depending on what culture it is. But the Babylonians, the Persians, the Canaanites, they all had a form of this specific deity. And also Moloch, for those of you who don't know, is basically the god of human sacrifice. Like he was known throughout history, both in Israel and Babylon and Canaan, for human sacrifices. So if you go to reference number 3, it should be a picture of the Star of Remphan if you just search it on Google. So at first I thought, is this guy just saying that the Star of Remphan and the Star of David are the same thing? Well, if you look it up on Google, most of your sources are going to have the 6-pointed star. So it's not something that's really covered up or anything. It's kind of out in the open. So at the top there's a star. It says Star of Remphan. It's in what is that? 8-pointed. It's like an 8-pointed compass looking sort of thing. A pentagram, which isn't related. And then it says the Magen David, the 6-pointed star used in many ancient cultures for decorative purposes, rarely held religious significance until recent history. Now, we don't really know exactly what it's referring to when it says the Star of Remphan. However, just because of it's like 4,000 years between now and when it was first mentioned, just about. But I just find it really curious how, like, it's out there, and it would make a lot of sense given like how symmetrical it is and how much significance numerically, like with Kabbalah and everything that it has. And the other thing to bring up is that a lot of like the Star of David itself on the flag of Israel, in a lot of churches that I've seen and a lot of people I've talked to, it's seen as almost like a type of idol. Like it's seen as, because in the New Testament, it very explicitly says that the new Israel, it's referring to the church specifically. It's not or those who accept Christ. It's not referring anymore to a specific like bloodline of people. So whether or not that is the symbol itself, the 6-pointed star, whether or not that's actually what it's referring to, the idea is still the same. They're replacing one thing with an image that's historically tied to a lot of, pagan deities and like world, like materialism, essentially. So, my question for people I ask is, so why do you have that symbol that Saint Stephen specifically mentioned when he was talking to the Pharisees, why would you support a country that has that, or at least something which very possibly could be that on their flag? So, do you have any comments?
Yeah,
Or
yeah. So
questions?
I found a reference on this that I thought was interesting. So this will be the fourth reference below. And it's an article by a Jewish lady, obviously. Here's what it says. In the Hebrew context, the Star of David is actually referred to as the Shield of David, Magen David, which you said, right? A phrase first mentioned in the Babylonian Talmud, not as a symbol, but as an epithet for God. So in the Talmud, you could find it. It's Pesachim 117b, whatever. I thought this was interesting because if the Star of David is an epithet for God, which means it's not a symbol, it's a moral quality of God. So the moral quality of their God is the Star of Remphan, right? Because their God's the devil.
Exactly.
And you get like in the next sentence, right? It gets down and it's talking about this revolt, right? Rabbi Akiva chose the Star of David as the symbol of Bar Kokhba's revolt against the Roman Emperor Hadrian. So this is 123 AD. Bar Kokhba's name means son of the star. Because it's son of the devil. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. So let me hit you with a different angle on this, okay?
Sure.
Because what if somebody said, well, I don't believe you. I don't believe you that the Star of David is the Star of Remphan. You could just say that, so it wasn't used a lot, and then it was used in the Middle Ages a little bit, mid 1500s or something like that, or whatever. And then, but it was really used very much at the end of the 19th century for the Zionists took it as their symbol, And so even if you say it's not the Star of Remphan, it's still a symbol of Zionism, a political movement. So it's not a symbol of Judaism. So all the Christian Zionists, you're supporting a symbol of a nationalist movement from a foreign country, right?
Exactly.
It just doesn't make sense that you would ever do that. It's like, why not just kick everybody out who has this flag? Because it's a national symbolist. You know what I mean? It's not like a Mexican having a Mexican flag, because that's not a nationalist symbol. It's just that their flag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's interesting too, because it's do you know what was it specifically when the Zionists movement started, when they started using that flag, or did it have?
Yeah, it said they started using it in the Middle Ages a little bit,
Right.
but it wasn't widely recognized as their flag. And then it was in Prague. In Prague, they were allowed to they got to pick a flag, and so then they picked that, of course, because But then it was popular used for all of Judaism, and it was like 1897 at the first Zionist council with Theodore Herzl, and then that's when they selected it. But I'm saying, like, if it's a flag supporting a nationalistic like, imagine you there was a nationalistic movement in China and you started rocking that flag in front of your house. It's like, just get out of our country, Gerron. You know what I'm saying? Like, go to China. Like, if that's what you want to do, go for it. So either way, it's offensive, is my point. Whether it's satanic or whether it's just betraying your own country.
Exactly, especially with how many dual citizens there are in the government, and how in order to even have a chance in politics, you have to be swear loyalty to AIPAC.
Right. Did you finish that documentary you sent me?
I did.
Okay, I finished it last night. It was phenomenal. So he sent me this documentary. It's called Occupied by Stu Peters. It's about an hour and 40 minutes long. Phenomenal documentary. I uploaded and posted the entire documentary to my locals channel. If you want to check it out, you can check it out there for free. Or you could get the link that he gave me, which takes you to Substack, which has a really good viewer if you download the app. It's really good stuff, and it's all about the Gaza thing. So if you want to check that out, locals, go for it for free, because you know what I mean? It's one of those ones like just right now I'm uploading the untold story of Adolf Hitler, that one. Do you know what I'm talking about? Have you seen that one? It's like 6 hours long.
Let's see, I know Europa, the Last Battle, and The Greatest Story Never Told. Is that the one?
I'm uploading that one right now. So basically on my locals, I've put it in playlists, and I've got like documentaries, Holocaust resources, and I'm just uploading all these awesome documentaries so that there'll always be a place people can go to find them, Okay. So what do you think? We're going to wrap this one up?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's we basically made our points. One other thing that I've looked into, it's not something I'm gonna run with too much, because I'm not super into the whole gematria or numerology, but have you seen the like some pictures with the numerical significance of the hexagram?
No.
So it's interesting because it's really two triangles that are, you know,
Right.
one over the other, but it's six sides, six triangles, and six something else, but it's like a
Oh, I see.
666 is all over it.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, I just find that kind of interesting.
Yeah, because you think that even if they didn't mean for it to be like that, you would just choose something that's not that.
Uh-huh.
Like you would just stay away from that. Let's stay away from the 666 one, right? You know what?
Yeah, exactly.
This also reminds me of like when you do blatant symbolism, just to shove it in people's face. Do you remember how like at the United Nations, the statue out front is the rape of Europa statue? It's the girl.
I've heard about that.
Yeah, it's the girl Europa on the bowl that's taking her away to rape her, and they put that in front of the United Nations in Europe.
Yeah.
Like they hate you, you know. It's the
Oh,
same.
oh, for sure.
It's the same thing with the Star of David thing. It's like, you know what would be hilarious if we can get all these white Christians all over the West to support the Star of Remphan. That did it. You know?
Yeah, that would be hilarious.
You pulled it off.
And,
Amazing.
and yeah, they pulled it off.
Yeah.
And also like in the book of Revelation, it talks about like how the number of the beast is 666. I don't think personally that that's any kind of specific reference to any specific thing, but it's more of like a pattern. Like how crazy would it be like if that symbol is, I mean, because modern Israel essentially like it in a lot of ways displaced the whole idea of the church for a lot of people, because now rather than just serving God or accepting Christ, there's like the dispensationalism, there's like this other thing out there that in a lot of ways, I saw it on this one show, I think it was Jay Slay, he had a guest on that said that supporting Israel is a form of blasphemy, or not just supporting it, but like elevating it to like a level of almost deification,
like an idolatry. Yeah.
Exactly.
Interesting. I like it.
So
okay.
Yeah.
So tomorrow he's going to pitch the controversial idea that Jesus was the first anti-Semite. Am I correct?
Yeah.
I have no idea how that's going to go. So basically, join us tomorrow, and we'll see how it goes. Thanks for coming on, Gerron.
Thank you.